I'm getting so tired. I'm getting so.
Y'all know what's going on. It's time for another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and welcome to the show. Look here. Matt was curious. Could this be Eve's son? He couldn't get it off his mind. So he did something that a lot of people do in the penitentiary that you shouldn't do. He quietly and sneakily went through Cole's property. He's looking for anything that can give him a clue as to who he is and what his situation is. And he finds nothing. Nothing. He hasn't been in long enough to get any mail. He doesn't have a timesheet. And the information concerning his case and all this and that, he ain't got that yet from his lawyer. Nothing. All he got is his property, his clothes. He doesn't even have sweatpants and tennis shoes and stuff like that. He just got state clothes, state hygiene, all of that kind of stuff. He knew. You hear me? He knew. So he's looking around and he sits back down on the bunk. He really disappointed. He's like, man, I got to know. So he lays on down, finishes eating, and he goes to sleep, trying to figure a way to find out more. And all night he tossed and turned. Can't get Eve off his mind. And for the first time in years, he sees her face in his dreams. And he thinks about all the time that they had. And then he thinks about why he's here, why he's in prison. And it's hard for him to get those thoughts out of his mind. He thinks about the circumstances that put him in prison, and he's not happy about it at all. And he gets angry all over again. But he tells himself, and this is a result of his cognitive behavior therapy that he's been taking, that what happened was his fault and not hers. Not anybody's but his. And it calms him down. So he falls asleep, a solid sleep. And he hears Cole get up. First thing that morning, and he's at the sink. He's washing his face and he starts to brush his teeth and he spits in the sink. And Matt rolls over, just laughs and says, I see you learned your lesson. And Cole starts to laugh about it and he's like, yeah, I want to go back to the hole. And he continues to get himself together. He said, I'll be done in a few minutes. He said, take your time, man. So when he finishes, he walks out the cell on the block so that Matt could do the same thing. And Matt gets up, still on his mind whether this is Eve's son or not. So while he's in the room, he's getting himself together and he says, I'm just going to ask him. I'm going to ask him, is his mother named Eve? Is his mother named Eve? Because if it is, then it may be a problem. But he don't want it to be a problem because he's accepted responsibility for what he did. He's accepted responsibility for why he's in prison. So why should it be a problem? All of these old feelings are coming back, and that's the thing about when you say that you've dealt with your past issues, the only way that you can confidently and surely say that you've dealt with your old issues is when something from your past flares up and you remain calm about it. You remain understanding about your situation. You stay in that space of accepting responsibility for what you did. But if you get upset by it, then you're not done with what happened in the past. I don't care what it is. Cheating on a boyfriend, girlfriend, stole something from somebody, had something stolen from you. If it's still making you mad, then you're not over it. But let me get back to the story. Y'all know how I be drifting. Let me get back to the story. So Cole is sitting out on the rock Matt goes out on the rock to join him, right? And he's back and forth on whether he should ask Matt, is he Eve's son? So they sit there, and they're sitting at the table, and it's a chessboard at the table. So they set the pieces up. And Matt says, you know how to play chess? And Cole told him, no. My dad was going to teach me, but he didn't get the chance to. He said, come on, I'm going to show you. So he started explaining to him what the pawns did, how the horse moved, the bishop, you know, the rook, the queen, the king, all of the roles of the pieces, all the roles that they play, and how they should move and all this and that, how they could move and whatnot. And it takes Cole a while, but he starts to catch on. He starts to catch on, and he's very competitive. And Matt is not really trying to play him, he's just trying to teach him. But he wants him to play him so he can learn. So he plays him and he beats him. He plays and he beats him. He plays and he beats him. And then they make the call out to where you got to go to breakfast. So they both walk to the chow hall and go to breakfast together. And when they get in the chow hall, they eat some eggs and bacon and toast and drink some orange juice. Then they go back to the unit. When they get back to the unit, Cole is still hungry. He's still hungry. So Matt tells me, he said, man, you fell asleep and I took the food out of your hand and wrapped it up for you. You got 1.5 that you didn't finish eating last night. Then you still got 3 that's in the cooler. You know what I'm saying? Eat when you want to. So Cole got the 1.5 out and finished that off with the drink that he didn't drink that night. And he got ready to report to work. He had been told he had to go to the job coordinator because they had a job for him. So when he went to the job coordinator, they told him that he was going to be the rock man in the pod that he lived in. And the rock man, basically, for those of you that don't know, is basically the janitor or the custodian, somebody that cleans up the unit. Specific jobs where you clean and mop the floor, you clean and the showers or the toilets or whatever the case may be, unless they're, you know, like the office's restroom, not people's cells. You understand what I'm saying? So he was going to be the rock man that swept and mopped and buffed and kept the floor straight, the general floor. So he got in there. He didn't know anything about working a buffer, but Matt was also the rock man. He was like the head rock man. And he had pulled some strings with the counselor to get this job for Cole so he could be around him and ease him into this penitentiary situation that he's facing. So Cole is in there and Matt is showing him how to work a buffer and all this. And all of this is intriguing to him. And the buffer breaks down. And when the buffer breaks down, Cole, he notices that it was like in spurts. It was fit and spurt, fit and spurt. And he's like, this is electrical. He said, I can fix this. And Matt said, you think you can fix it? And he said, yeah, I can fix it. So they went into one of the broom closets and he opened it up and he fixed it. And it worked good as new. So Matt told him, he said, man, I'm going to tell the job coordinator what you did so she can get you a better job. You don't need to be in here with me. You need to be our electrician so you can make you some money. Now, it's just 50 cents an hour, but it's better than what he was making, which is 17 cents an hour. And plus, he would be able to still work on his craft, right? So Cole loved it. So Matt hollered at the job coordinator looking out for him, and they tested him to see and found out this man has graduated from vocational school as an electrician, and he was part of the union as an electrician. But all of this kept reminding him of his dad. Kept making him sad. Kept making him sad. And he didn't know how to deal with it. He didn't want to deal with it. But he had to. He had to. So after about a couple of months, he was talking to Matt. And he almost told Matt what he needed to know. But it didn't matter. Because Matt had seen that Cole had been getting mail in from his mom. And he was going to that night see if this was in fact Eve. So when Cole went to sleep that night, Matt violated the rules again. But his curiosity, it wouldn't let him stop until he knew. And he found the letter. And he saw her name on the letter. And it was almost immediate that he recognized her handwriting style first. She wrote real loopy letters. Real loopy and elegant. Stylish. Almost like calligraphy, but not like calligraphy. And when he saw it, something in him melted. Yes, it was a sigh of relief, but it was almost like something inside of him reignited. And he thought fondly of Eve again. And he looked at Cole, and he couldn't help but imagine that he could have been his son. You see, Cole and Eve went on to have a life with the man that Matt was in prison for. But let me back up a little bit and tell you how that came about. See, Eve and Matt were boyfriend and girlfriend from the 9th grade to the 11th grade. They had made plans to be married. Everybody loved them. Everybody knew that they were a couple. But see, one day, Randy and his family moved to the city that they were from. And he was enrolled into high school. And like any new kid on the block, all the girls were just blown away by him, you know. He was a smooth dude. He played basketball and football, all of those types of things, you know. And he was smart, real smart in school, you know. So Matt, he was the same type of dude though. But sort of kind of like Eve had grown bored with him. And Randy, when he saw Eve, he shot his shot. He shot his shot. And she bit. Now she knew that she was wrong, but you gotta remember, she was in the 11th grade. She was in high school. She didn't, you know, she wasn't thinking like an adult, y'all. She wasn't thinking, she's a teenager. She's a teenager. So for the next few months, she's sneaking back and forth writing letters to Randy about this, that, and the third, and them sneaking around, getting together and all that. And it was about summertime. School was out. And Matt and his family, they always went to his relative's house for a couple of weeks in the summer. And man, while they were gone on vacation, Eve let her hair down. She started kicking it with Randy real tough. Real tough. But it was all on the low. It was still on the low. Only her girlfriends knew how serious it was. And she knew she had a problem because she loved Matt, but she had started to fall in love with Randy. And the night before the night before Matt came back home from vacation, she slept with Randy. But she knew it was only a one-time thing, but she couldn't resist it. And she did it. But when she did it, she knew then that she wanted to be with him. So for the rest of the summer, they snuck around. Their senior year, they snuck around, right? They graduated. Matt and Eve are still an item. Everybody knows it, but her girlfriends know that she's been cheating with Randy. And now it's starting to creep out. People are starting to talk that Randy has been seeing Eve, and Matt hears about this, right? They graduated from high school now, you know? Everybody going off to work, and Randy, he's in vocational school, taking up his trade. Matt, he's working. But he's tired of these rumors because they're not kids no more. They're not in high school no more. And Eve is getting bolder. She's not answering the phone, and she's not at home all the time, and she's missing in action. And where is she at? And lo and behold, Matt catches her and Randy at a bar on the outskirts of the town. And he snaps out. And I'm telling you, he beat Randy to a pulp. Beat him real good. Almost killed him. And they snatched him up and they charged him. And Randy sat on the stand, testified against him. Eve was nowhere to be found. In the courtroom, they talked about a love triangle. How she was seeing both of them and this whole thing exploded. She was ashamed and embarrassed. She was nowhere to be seen in the courtroom. So when they found Matt guilty, they shipped him off to prison. She wrote one letter telling him how sorry she was and how embarrassed she was and ashamed she was for what she had done, but she loved Randy and that she would not be sticking by Matt while he was in prison. It was over. So now, fast forward to today. He's looking at this letter and he knows it's her. He knows it's her. So he waits until later on in the day when Cole has stepped outside the cell and he goes to his own property. He finds the letter that Eve wrote him years ago and the letter that he's reading, as far as the envelope anyway, that she wrote to Cole, and it's her. He already knew it was her, but once he looked at it, he knew for sure it was her. Yeah, the handwriting was a little bit more elegant, a little bit more flamboyant, but it was her. It was her. And he sat there for a while and not knowing what to do, not knowing what to say. And all he could do was sit there on the edge of his bed and stare at the letters. So he opened up the letter that he had gotten from her when he first got to prison, when she broke up with him, and he reread it again. It had been years since he even looked at that letter. But he reread it again and he felt some kind of way. But it wasn't anger that he felt. This time it was different. This time it was different. In his mind, somewhere in the back of his mind, he thought that maybe, just maybe, if she wasn't with Randy, maybe he would have a shot now. Maybe he would have a shot. So he had to find out what really happened. Why was he in here? Did he have a relationship with his father? Where was he at in this picture? See, because Matt didn't know the details of the case. He knew that Cole was in there for vehicular homicide, but he didn't know the victim was Randy. He didn't know that. He didn't know that. So when he tried to find sneaky, conniving ways to bring it up, he would always make Cole shut down. So one day he decided to go to the counselor. And he was talking to the counselor trying to find out more about why Cole was in there. And the counselor blurted it out and told him, said, look, that young man has got a lot on his plate. He was in a vehicular homicide that ended up killing his father. And they gave him 6 years for it. He said he's got a lot. He's going through a lot. And that knocked all the wind out of Matt. Knocked the air out of him. Here he was plotting and conniving, trying to figure out how to get back with Eve, if he had a chance to get back with Eve, and trying to find out if Randy was still in the picture some kind of way, and Randy was the victim this whole time of the vehicular homicide incident that Cole was in prison for. He felt like crap. He felt like crap. Now he kept thinking about Cole and what he must be going through, how he must be feeling. And now he had to figure out a way to bring all of this up. He wanted to talk to him. He wanted to help him. He wanted to get him through this. He wanted to offer him anything that he could to help him out, because that's a lot to carry. It's a lot to carry when you're young. So he found a way a couple of weeks later to bring it up. And he told Cole, he said, listen to me. I want to talk to you about something that I know you don't want to talk about. But I think it's time for you to start getting some help for it, because if you wait too long, it might be too late. And if you want to know how this conversation turned out, you're going to have to tune in to the next episode, because it's going to get better. This has been another episode of Doing Time with Joe. I'm your host, Joe Baker, and I say peace, y'all.